All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, February 29th. Happy leap year to everyone out there. We got an 8-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when we go through each and every one of these games, I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game. But as always, keep an eye on the pinned comment if you do want to see what I'm rolling with in terms of my final plays. If you do want to fade me and do the opposite, of course, those plays are going to be in the pinned comment. Last night, the Guppies ain't going to be happy about this one. 4-0, a sweep. We're bringing out the money gun, baby. 4-0. Now, we had to sweat it out. This is not a very easy one. Ayo Dosunmu, over 1.5 3-pointers made, and then we had him in a parlay with Mitchell, over 2.5 3-pointers made. We had the over 209 in the Grizzlies and Timberwolves game, and then Aaron Gordon. That was probably the most non-sweat, like the sweat-free play. Aaron Gordon, over 14.5 points, 4+ money. We shall take it. Pump in some damn crowd noise. We swept. Hello, Money Gun, my old friend. The fun does kind of stop there. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button to celebrate the sweep. But like I said, the fun kind of has to stop there because our ride of the day does not come through. Hate to drop the womp womp here on my man Jimmy, but Luka, it was his birthday yesterday. He said, hey, Luka, over 3.5 threes, let's roll with it. Luka has a decent game, right? 30 points, triple-double. Is not on from behind the arc. So over 3.5 threes does not cash, but good try, Jamie. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to do is use hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's play in the comments, and then you guys got a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also giving you a shout out over on my Twitter at EvGuyBoston if you want to follow me there. And if you guys win, we continue to ride with your pick. Again, jumping on board with one person's pick. I see so many comments like, oh, I can't wait to be the ride of the day. Come on, pick me, pick me. I'm trying. We're trying to get to everyone, trying to give everyone some sort of spotlight, but it's tough when you just pick one person each and every day. But good attempt by Jimmy. I like the thought process, and Luka had a good game. Just the one part of his game that wasn't clicking was from deep. But guys, let's go ahead and jump into today's slate. Like I said, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Celebrate the sweep. We love to see it. Let's jump into the first game. First game up, we have Charlotte hosting Milwaukee here. These two teams just played. Charlotte, 12-point dogs at home, total sitting at 216. The last time they played, was, like I said, a couple days ago. That was a Milwaukee win, 123-85. I don't see any reason why something similar doesn't happen here. Like I keep saying, and maybe I'm the one that's wrong in the room here, but I do think that All-Star break did something to Milwaukee. Now, they haven't played, Philadelphia without Embiid. They played Charlotte. Minnesota, good win there. I'll give them credit for that, but they haven't been, like, battle-tested. But why would this game be any different, right? Like, they don't need to be battle-tested to play a team that they just absolutely pumped. So I'll lean towards Milwaukee. Giannis is listed as probable. If he doesn't play, this obviously just becomes probably even just a pass. It doesn't really sway things to the side of Charlotte for me. I don't mind taking a peek at the over, but I feel silly that I keep rolling with that, right? Like, I keep thinking that these low numbers, we cashed one last night, but this one I'm like, oh, Charlotte, just like last game, I was like, Charlotte can pull their weight a little bit, right? Wrong. So I'm going to lean towards the over, but that is kind of like a dicey sort of prediction, so I don't think that becomes a final play. In terms of player props, I do have a couple that I would consider. I don't mind, and they're all 3-pointer props, which you guys know that I love those. I don't mind looking at Malik Beasley over 2.5 threes. Don't mind looking at Dame over 2.5 threes. And then the Charlotte side of things, Brandon Miller for plus 100. I don't mind looking at him for over 2.5 threes as well. All those guys, obviously decent shooters, and I do think that there is some defensive laps there when it comes to Milwaukee, whether it's the corner or above the break. I don't think Charlotte's going to have any success, trying to score in the paint or even from the mid-range. So it leaves the three ball, and that is what Brandon Miller likes to do. I think in the last 10 games, I just had it up, but he leads the team in above the break threes and pull-up jumpers with 6 of those attempted per game. So yeah, I could see him making a couple of those or a few of those if we needed to cash that. And like I said, Malik Beasley and Damian Lillard kind of goes without saying, right? Those guys should have the volume, and they're good enough shooters to be able to get 3 threes tonight. Next up, we have Orlando taking on Utah. Right now, Orlando sitting at 6-point favorites. This line opened up at, I believe, 5, maybe 4.5 on some books. So it's obviously been on the Orlando side, bought to -6 here, as the books didn't like giving out those -4.5, -5 tickets. And I agree with them. I think that this is an Orlando team that should be able to control this Utah team. Paolo Banchero is a game time decision. Massive blow if he doesn't play. He's really been kind of the gear that keeps them going. So keep an eye on the injury report in this one, but I am going to lean towards the Orlando Magic here minus the 6 points. Utah just have not, they haven't been getting it done. Like, they haven't been winning games. They haven't been covering games. And I don't know if I'm ready to say it, but you know, if you've been watching, you know that I keep kind of, throwing out this thought that, like, Utah kind of went on a good streak at one point in the year, right? They got healthy. They went to the smaller lineup, and it's like, oh, they were covering. They were winning games. And then they are back to kind of where they were now. Maybe that was just the facade. That was all the smoke and mirrors, and this is kind of the Utah team that we can expect for the rest of the season. The only thing that I think that they may have the upper hand in here is, you know, scoring. Like, they may just score more points than Orlando, but Orlando's defense is better. They're definitely a better efficient offense, which is crazy to say. They should win in the paint battle, both offensively and defensively. So I just don't think that Utah really has the, I guess, the X's and O's and all the things that they need to be able to beat Orlando. If they're going to go out there and run and score a bunch of points like they have in some games, I don't know if Orlando keeps up with that. But my point is, I don't know if Orlando even lets that happen based on the defense. So give me Orlando here minus the 6. And if I think Orlando's going to control the pace of this game, I think this one goes under 225.5. In fact, I think that the books are kind of telling us that they think that this is going to be an Orlando pace game. In the last 10 games for Utah, this is literally, like, by 10 points, the lowest total that they've had set. Their last 10, 230, I'm not going to go through all of them, but 238, 239, 241, 240, 238, all in that range, right? Now they have a game at 225.5, which that tells me that this is swaying way towards Orlando, because, you know, this is more of an Orlando type of a total. They've had a couple 223s, 225s, 223.5, 224 in their last few games. So just kind of reading the lines there makes me like Orlando as well. Forget about how I looked at, you know, the paint and the efficiency and that type of thing. But give me Orlando and the under in this spot. Couple player props I don't mind, and I just think they're decent value plays here. John Collins, over 9.5 rebounds plus assists. The guy's still been cashing. This line, obviously, you know, got all the way up to 10.5 like a week ago, but he's hit the over 9.5 here in 65% of his last 20 games. That's 13 of his last 20. He's hit in 53% of the season here, and in terms of that last 20, he has, I think it's like 3 or maybe 2 or 3 games in which he finished at 9 rebounds plus assists. So literally, he could have had easily 75% of this covered if he just gets one more rebound or assist in those games. Is it the best matchup? No, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass and say it's a good matchup, but I just think it's a valuable line for him. Another one in terms of just looking at the player, I don't love the matchup, which could keep these from being final plays, is Colin Sexton here, over 1.5 3-pointers made. Now, the odds here are very, very important. This is at -116 on Caesars, -105 on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, +105 right now. So you can get plus money for a play that's actually in the minus odds on some other books. I don't think I'd play this at the -120, but +105 I could definitely consider here. He's hitting 8 of his last 10 and 15 of his last 20. Is he going to have the volume behind it? No, I've said that all along when looking at this prop, because it's a trending play, but he just might not have the volume behind it. But two sort of not matchup based, but player based player props that I'm considering in this spot. All right, guys, before we continue on with the show, I do want to shout out OddsJam. If you don't know what OddsJam is, now is the time to pay attention, because it's a way that you can use multiple tools to literally mathematically dismantle any sportsbook. And I mean that, guys. I'm on the sportsbook screen right now. This is a simple tool for any play, really. We're on player points right now, but you can literally look at any play and go through and say, okay, well, you know what, here's all of the player props out there. Any of these betting markets, you can compare all of the sports books out there, look at the best odds that you're getting, making sure you're getting the best price. I know it's a little overwhelming. If you want to do this a little bit simpler, they also have the positive EV tool, which identifies missed price plays in the market. I have an EV video coming out pretty damn soon, and just for the month of February, the month we're in now, I went through and positive EV betted and trusted the tool. the results are pretty damn amazing, so stay tuned for that video. But for example, Chet Holmgren here, over 11.5 rebounds plus assists, plus 120 over on Fanatics, right? If we open this up, it's plus 103 average odds on most sports books. You could see plus 105, plus 105, plus 104, plus 100, but you're getting plus 120 over on Fanatics. Does it guarantee that Holmgren hits? No, but you're getting the best price available, meaning you have an edge going into that game, because a lot of plays here that you'll find many times will be in this boat. Bet online minus 109, right? But you're getting a plus 120 play that another book is setting at minus 109, so you have an edge going into that. That's just a couple of the tools that OddsJam has to offer, guys. They also have an arbitrage tool. They have a fantasy optimizer. Go check it out. You can use the link in the pinned comment. You're going to get 25% off if you use code GuyBoston. That link's going to trigger a 7-day free trial, and you get the 25% off. Sounds like an absolute steal of a deal to me. Go check it out at least for 7 days free, right? Click the link in the pinned comment. Now, let's go ahead and jump back into the games. All right, next up, we have Brooklyn taking on the Hawks. Brooklyn favored in this one, total sitting at 224.5. If we use sort of initial line reading in the sort of the thought process that I gave you with the Magic and the Utah Jazz, this looks like the books do think that Brooklyn has the upper hand here. Now, no Trae Young, he is still out here. In terms of injuries on the Brooklyn side of things, no Cam Thomas, so you could make an argument that those kind of cancel out in terms of, importance. I wouldn't go down that road. I know Trae Young is more important to the Hawks, but just saying, the Nets aren't fully healthy either. But anyways, back to what I was saying is this 224.5 is a very, very low total from what the Hawks are used to getting. So that part makes me want to lean towards Brooklyn, but I'm going to just trust what the Hawks have kind of done for me lately. And not me, but just they've won 2 games in a row. They were close-ish games against decent teams, and then they pull away at the end, and Trae Young wasn't in either of those games. So, yeah, this isn't my favorite game or favorite spot on the board, but I'm going to take the points, the plus 1.5 with the Hawks here. This line really hasn't moved since opening either, so we're not getting any indication from the books as the soft side or anything like that. In terms of the total, I'm also going to take a peek at the over. Both of these teams, we know the Hawks can play with some serious, transition basketball and whatnot, but the Nets are not a very good transition defense, and the Hawks stink at it. So neither one of these offenses, I would say, is a stellar, efficient offense in transition. But if this turns to any sort of transition, there should be some easy buckets, like hot knives going through hot butter, right? My best saying out there. But guys, yeah, I'm gonna lean towards the over in this spot. But again, I'm making it very clear this isn't my favorite game. It's not my favorite matchup on the slate. And screw the guppies that are like, I hate when you say you don't love this. Why even talk about it? Because I love talking basketball. I still want to share my opinion on each and every game. You can take it or leave it at this point, right? But I want to go through each and every game, and I want to be transparent about my confidence level. I'm not going to sit here and fake confidence for content. Also, no major player props that I'm loving in this game either. If you couldn't tell, not my favorite game. I love trolling the guppies. Next up, we have the Knicks hosting the Golden State Warriors here. Andrew Wiggins is out in this game, and then the New York Knicks injury report is fairly long. We have Hardenstein probable, Jalen Brunson questionable, and then obviously OG Anunoby and Julius Randle both still out, and then Mitch Robinson out as well. I heard he might be coming back. I thought he was out for season like a little while ago, but he may be coming back. But nonetheless, like I said, like that almost is there, a few starters there that are out for either year, or obviously OG and Julius Randle been out for a while. But Brunson being on the injury report is super, super imperative and important to note. I still like Golden State even if Brunson plays. 4 points doesn't seem like all that much to me. If this was 5.5, maybe 6, I genuinely think that I would start leaning towards New York, because I think it's a lot of points to give a team that definitely wants to play close basketball, and they just got smoked by New Orleans. I think that they want to come back and say, okay, you know what? Let's make a statement here. Brunson didn't play in that game, if I'm not mistaken, right? So if he plays here, I think that gives him a little bit of a boost, but not enough to beat a Golden State team that I truly do think, not to say have turned a corner, but they're playing damn good basketball, beating good teams, beating bad teams like they should. They've won 8 of their last 10. They're 8-2 against the spread. They just covered a big number against Washington. So, I just think that this Golden State team's playing good basketball, and that shouldn't be, groundbreaking to anyone out there. In terms of the total, 222, if Golden State pushes the tempo here, I do think the Knicks kind of follow suit. Now, the Knicks have struggled offensively as of late. They have barely reached 110. I think they've done that in 2 of their last 7 games and 3 of their last 10. And the defense has been sound, but I don't think they're going to have many answers for what Golden State throws at them. So I'm going to lean slightly towards the over. And then a player prop I really do like in this spot is going to be Jonathan Kuminga over 2.5 assists. We've seen him cash this in 6 straight games and in 8 of his last 10. And what I like about this potential matchup here, or this matchup, not potential matchup, is the fact that this Knicks team, as good as they are defensively, overall, they've kind of gone up and down. I do still think that they're good defense. Just the numbers don't support that as of late. I think I talked about that in a recent video. I still believe in this Knicks defense, even though the trend hasn't been all that great. But they're going to defend the paint fairly well no matter what, right? Especially with a Tibbs defense. But where they've struggled as of late in the last 10 is on the perimeter. Jonathan Kuminga loves to score or try and score within the paint. If he gets to the paint and doesn't have a good look, he's going to kick it to a soft perimeter of defense, and guys like Steph Curry being able to shoot a 3. So him getting 3 assists should be a good spot in this game. My one concern is I've leaned towards Kuminga over 2.5 assists plenty of times in the last, couple weeks, right? I haven't made it a final play yet. So do I just, finally get on board and roll with it? He's hit it in 6 straight games, and all of a sudden I'm the jinx. I'd hate for that to happen, but it is probably my favorite player prop in this spot. All right, San Antonio taking on OKC. This is another game in which I'm not all that interested in. I do think OKC wins this one. Do I want to lay 11 points? Not so much. I mean, they're good against a spread team, obviously, on the road, and no matter how you want to cut it up. But again, there's a lot of NBA games and a lot of spots that we do like today. This might not be my favorite one, but I can't get behind the Spurs here plus the 11 points. Just doesn't seem like enough. Last time they played, which was about a month ago, OKC won by nearly 30 points. So I'm going to lean towards OKC again. Total sitting at 236. I think OKC has no trouble scoring, and hopefully the Spurs can kind of keep that pace and play fast, because I like the over in this spot as well. Player prop wise, nothing really right now. I don't necessarily love this game, again, because there's blowout potential. So I'm probably going to stick away and just be kind of conservative here with player props and stick away from them today. Next up, we have Phoenix taking on the Rockets. Initially, I want to lean Phoenix, and I probably still do lean Phoenix here, but 8.5 points seems like it's a big number. I just can't lean towards the Rockets on the road, right? I've kind of said that all along this entire season. They are only covering in 1/3 of games on the road this season, 33% of their games, meaning 66% of the games they do not cover when on the road. So unfortunate there. There are some injuries on the Phoenix side of things. Looks like Yusuf Nurkic is probable. Bradley Beal game time decision, so we're going to want to keep an eye on those. I do think Nurkic could have a decent game here. I like taking these bigger, beefier guys against Sengun sometimes. Not saying I like Sengun as a player, but in terms of that rim protector or brute force, I really don't think that he necessarily is it, right? So Nurkic could be a look for points plus rebounds. His line is a little bit too high though at 21.5, but nonetheless, my main play in this spot is probably going to be the under. We have a couple games so far from them this season, one of which went under and one of which went over. Both of those games in Houston here. I do think that Phoenix, at least here, controlling the pace and whatnot, should try and play fast, but Houston's defense, will give them a little bit of credit there, right? So Phoenix is probably going to say, okay, well, we don't need to run on this team. Let's slow it down and just try and pick them apart. And I'm hoping that that's going to be the case, because I do think Phoenix wins this game, but I don't think they're going to go towards the let's run mentality. I think that that's going to be a half-court game. And even just looking at the matchups, there's not many weak spots on the floor for either team. And what I mean by that, it's in terms of where Phoenix is good at shooting from, 3, mid-range, paint, that type of thing, versus where Houston is weak. None of those really match up, and same thing vice versa. So I'm going to lean towards the under 234 in this spot as well. Like I said, Nurkic may be the only player prop that I'm truly looking at here, and I don't even know if that makes the final cut. All right, Denver taking on the Heat. Denver is on a back-to-back. That is definitely worth noting. They get the win last night against Sacramento. So, obviously, like I said, definitely something worth noting. Everybody played. Jokic played 32 minutes, so maybe he got a couple minutes of rest. Porter and Gordon only played 24 minutes. Caldwell Pope only played 28. And then Murray played 32. So, though Jokic and Murray got into the 30s, they were able to kind of pull their foot off the gas here and have some sort of a rest, which I think is important, because right now, you look at the Nuggets and they've only covered in 36% of their games on back-to-backs this season, which, should be worrisome here. But this 4.5 points, I'm not all that afraid of. I think this team matches up super, super well with the Heat and vice versa. I think it's going to be a good game. But when it comes to the rebound rate and the rebounding of this game, the Nuggets should absolutely own that part of the game. And if everything else is similar, like Nuggets score more points, but Miami allow fewer points, right? Denver, the more offensive efficient team. Miami, actually the more defensive efficient team. Miami scores more points from three than Denver, but Denver, a better team at preventing threes from going in. Denver, better at scoring in the paint. Miami, better at preventing points in the paint. So you can go through and break this game up how you want. It is kind of crazy how much we see sort of like, well, this team does this better. Oh, but that's actually a strength of the other team. So I think it's a good matchup. Finals, rematch too, right? But Denver, like, there is a huge discrepancy here when it comes to the rebound rating and what I think that, Denver kind of will dominate in this game, and it is both offensive and defensive glass. So if it comes down to something as fine-tuned as that, I guess you can make any argument for either side, right? Like, I don't hate someone being like, oh, no, I like the Heat to keep this game close, but I'm going to go with Denver in this spot. The total sitting at 214. It's super low. Like, obviously, it's a very, very low number. Last time they played, this was a low-scoring game back in, I think it was the finals. I mean, or no, not even the finals, was it? Yeah, it might have been the finals. Their last time meeting was 94-89. So it's like low scoring, but do we want to put weight into that? Like, I'm not looking at last year's data, never mind it being the finals of last year. Super, super different, but still low number. I'm going to lean towards the under just because of sort of the team's archetypes themselves, not really what I think that this matchup ends up being. I think both these teams are under teams, and you look at that, it's like, okay, well, take the under in this spot, even though it's a low number. From a player prop perspective, so part of what I can admit here is kind of what I just said, like every sort of weakness of each team is counterbalanced somehow in this game. So definitely something to keep an eye on here. Tyler Hero, I also should have mentioned, right? Tyler Hero is a game time decision, not probable or doubtful, but right in the middle there, toss up to play. So that's huge. Preventing a lot of player props from being out there, but I do think that this could be a Jimmy Butler sort of good game in a sense. I think that he is a grinder. I think that he probably thinks of this as like, hey, this is a rematch of the finals and blah, blah, blah. So I could consider Jimmy Butler over 29.5 PRA in this spot, definitely. Do I love the matchup? No, but I love the gamer mentality of Butler. All right, last game of the slate. Before we do that, guys, go ahead and comment. I want to know your favorite. What should we do? I was gonna say, we'll do it. Favorite candy, because I didn't want to out myself on this one, but every time I tell someone my favorite candy, they're like, you're an absolute weirdo. So I'm not much of a chocolate guy, okay? I like paydays. Paydays are like Sour Patch Kids. I like the caramel nougat saltiness of like a payday, I guess, with the nuts. Don't clip that. And then I like sour and sweet more than I do like chocolate stuff. So payday bars. Some people might even be watching this being like, what the hell is a payday bar? Hey, talk about a sports better like in a payday. Go figure, right? But let me know your favorite candy or candy bar in the comments, guys. Figured we switch it up, right? Like, I loved when we did the Mount Rushmore of cereals. That was some of the most entertaining comment section to read that day. So I'm very curious to see what everyone comes up with here. But let's get back to some basketball here and stop talking about candies that I'm probably going to get roasted for liking. But we got the Lakers taking on the Wizards. This is a spot in which, go figure, not really the best of spots. The Lakers coming off of a win last night against the Clippers. On the injury report, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't necessarily play tonight because back-to-back and they're playing the Wizards. This is a game that I didn't really, look too deep into because it's not a very good spot overall for, the Lakers as 9.5-point favorite. So I'll sound the psycho alert alarm, but give me the Wizards in this spot. The Lakers on back-to-backs covering in just 27% of games this season, and that's obviously a big number there. In terms of a total 241.5, the defense on both sides here, and the transition defense in particular, like I can't really imagine is going to be there, so I'll lean towards the over. But this, again, not to close it out on a bad game, but we kind of are closing it out on a bad game, right? So I'm going to lean towards the over as well as the Wizards, and then no major player props really jumping off the page. I saw a lot of comments about, man, you say jumping off the page a lot. Hey, it is what it is. I have my little isms, right? But yeah, nothing jumps off the page from a player prop perspective to me. But guys, it's gonna wrap it up for today's show. hopefully we can go 2 sweeps in a row. But yeah, I'll recap February in tomorrow's video. But prior to our 4-game sweep last night, we were up, I think it was like 5.5 units in February, up to plus 30 units on the season in the NBA. So very, very proud of that and excited for that. So far, so good. So thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know your damn candies in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.